Good morning and welcome to our March edition of the Landlord Advocate, our new video advocate. We are going to talk this month in our core topic of lease management about the concept of changing rules versus changing leases. As you know, we are focused this quarter on lease management concepts, and this month we're going to talk about changing rules versus changing leases. Let's talk about changing leases briefly. As you know, changing your lease can be quite a time-consuming and costly adventure. It often involves a lot of time on your part to develop the concepts that you want to incorporate into the lease. It may also involve quite a bit of time and investment with your legal counsel in order to get that drafted effectively, drafted properly, and integrated into your existing lease. And as you may also know, changing your lease means that in terms of enforcing that new policy that you're pursuing, or that new conduct that you are trying to eliminate, until someone signs that lease, ultimately it's not enforceable against those individuals. So in terms of implementing that new lease change, either you're going to go on a campaign of signing new leases with your entire community, or you may end up having to wait until lease renewal time to address the transition from one lease to another, making enforcement quite a difficult task for you in terms of getting that lease change implemented in your entire community. There are strategies on doing so more effectively, more efficiently, and I invite you to talk with your landlord attorney regarding those strategies, but it will be a much more time-consuming and perhaps stretched out process to actually get your new lease in place and enforceable. When it comes to changing rules, process should be quite a bit different, quite a bit faster. It is usually going to be very, very specific, whereas a change in a lease might have a bigger operational impact on what you're going to do and how you're going to manage the property. Usually lease changes are much easier to identify and more discreet. Things like changing the hours on the pool, or restricting access for, age appropriately for the gym or something along those lines. Those are types of things that you can change in the rules. You can do it very quickly. It won't cost you much of anything. You might want to make a quick consultation with your attorney to make sure you've got the language right and that sort of thing, but usually it's going to be much easier to do, and it's enforceable. As soon as you implement the change and give appropriate notice, there's varying authorities out there that suggest what appropriate notice is. If you give 30 days written notice, hey, we're changing the hours for the pool, and that gets out to everyone, then you can expect to be able to enforce that rule pretty much in 30 days for everyone in the community. Where the two collide is really the last topic last piece I'd like to cover now, and that is where you've got a rule change or an intended rule change that actually is a lease change in disguise. Statutes are clear, the law is pretty clear, that you can't make a change that has a significant impact on the lease relationship that you have with your tenants just by yourself. You can't do it unilaterally, is what they call that. You can't make a change to your contract without your residents also agreeing. And so when you start flirting with the edge of the difference between a rule and lease change, you really need to really encourage you to consider discussing that with your landlord attorney, so that you can make sure that the rules changes that you might be trying to implement are in fact rules changes and aren't going to need to be drafted into a future version of your lease and handled in the process of a lease change. So hopefully that's helpful. If you're thinking about changing rules, thinking about changing your leases, or a little bit of both, Again, I invite you to reach out to your landlord attorney and discuss with them what you're trying to accomplish, what your end game is, what your goals are, and determine whether or not you need an updated lease, or you can simply do it in the context of a rule change. Rule changes are easier, they're less costly, and if you can go the rule path, we encourage you to consider that as an option. Thanks so much for your attention. This will be our last installment on lease management this quarter. We will shift to a different general topic in our core videos next month, and we look forward to having you there. In the meantime, if you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing to our channel here on YouTube, and we'd love to have you become part of the Landlord Law Firm family. Thanks again, Robert Chesson, Landlord Law Firm. Have a great day.